Tennessee, the Lady Balls, are having a problem right now. They have zero returning players. Matter of fact, some of the players that got recruited to them are now gone. Now, there's only been one player that I've heard about that is coming to Tennessee. It's a young lady from Liberty University, has a really good 3-point percentage. I'm looking at what the 2 years under Kim Caldwell has been. And I'm also looking at the fact that Gabe Lazo was a defensive mind that was brought in that, as a recruiter, he is great for, say, an LSU, for South Carolina. I think he will do really good with what he looks at for a recruit to University of Central Florida, where he is now the head coach. I don't blame Gabe Lazo. I don't blame Kim Caldwell as much. What I do think is happening with this team and the fact that they're now going to have to rebuild may actually be a good thing. I really do. I think this might be a good thing. Now, mind you, I'm not a big fan of the whole transfer portal situation. Um, I think that there needs to be limits put on it in ways, but it has nothing to do with what's going on with Tennessee. It's more along the lines of, I think overall, I have a problem with transfer portal. But I'm looking at what the Tennessee Lady Balls are having to deal with. Kim Caldwell is having to deal with. And I have no problems with Kim Caldwell. I think her first year showed what her system can do, especially considering the limitations that her team had her first year there. But we're going to take a look at this by the stats, by the numbers, as I always do. I'm also going to take a look at it as Kim Caldwell proved that her system can work. That being said, at the same time, not only can her system work, if it doesn't have the right players in place, aka somebody that can recruit to what she needs, and she couldn't pay attention to it as much. New mothers, I've seen that problem. Not to mention, you take a look at Pathead Summit when her son was born. She had a nanny. Matter of fact, I knew who that nanny was not long after that nanny got hired because I knew the family of the nanny. This is a situation where you're looking at all of this and people are going, well, this is a panic mode time. No, it's not a panic mode time. There are over 1,000 players. There's like 1,100 and something players inside the transfer portal for women's basketball. Now, Kim Caldwell can look at it, pick and choose. Okay, I see what this person's did. This person can be brought in. I don't like that Jada Silva left. I don't like that Talisha Cooper left. I don't know about Janiyah Barker. I think I think she's going into the Paldo sisters. They did a lot of work, specifically Mia, but I think that there is some things that we have to look at here. So we're going to cover this by the numbers, and we're going to see where they can improve that would actually be better for this team. So let's get into it. Before we get into the crux of this video, hit like, hit subscribe if you like college sports, because I do college sports, primarily college football, college women's gymnastics. Do a little basketball and other sports on occasion, but that's what I do, college. Also, General Robert Neyland, former University of Tennessee head football coach for decades, had 7 maxims to win any game, but they can also help you if you apply them correctly to your life. The second one is play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That is a maxim that can be also applied to your life. Look for those breaks and take it. Okay, the first thing I'm going to take a look at is shooting percentages. Why? Because this is what I do. 43 in 2024-2025, her first season there. They were shooting 43.8% field goal percentage, 32.6 3-point percentage, and 68.9 free throw percentage. This past season, 41.3% field goal percentage, 31% 3-point percentage, and 67% free throw percentage. They had only one player, Elisa Latham, who was in the game 19.1 minutes, that shot over 50% field goal percentage. That is 53.9%. When you take a look at their 3-point, Lauren Hurst, who was only in the game, she was only in 24 games, only in there 10 minutes a game when she was in, she was shooting 41.4%. That's the highest shooters you've got this past season. Now, before, Z Spearman, the first season was at 51.5% field goal percentage. That was their best, but they had a few other players that were doing pretty good. But then you take a look at 3-point percentage. Only one player that played 9 games and was in 2.9 minutes of those 9 games was 50%. Everybody else wasn't doing that well. So they've got a problem where they can't do the long ball, and they're barely being adequate at field goal percentage. I've already covered that field goal percentage number has to be up there. Let's take a look at this past season. They had 105 blocks total, 3.6 blocks a game. The year before, 91 blocks, 2.9 blocks a game. They were improving, but still really low numbers. That's a essential. This past season, when it came to steals, they had 10.4 steals a game. That was 302 steals. Year before, they were at 11.4 steals a game, 352. So you got worse on steals, but got a little bit better on blocks. This past season, defensive rebounds, 704 defensive rebounds. They were getting 39.4 of both types of rebounds a game. Year before that, her first season, 733, 40.7 total rebounds a game. So you got worse at rebound, at defensive rebounding, a key stat. This is Gabe Lazo's bailiwick. Seriously, it is. It's his bailiwick. Defense is supposed to win. As was seen with what happened with UCLA, defense wins games. Matter of fact, even the one game they lost against Texas earlier on in the season, Vic Schaefer came up with a defensive plan that stunned UCLA and showed that defense mattered. You play against South Carolina, defense wins. They were getting worse at defense. That's not a good sign. They were getting worse at shooting. That's not a good sign. They made they attempted this past season 1,953 field goals. They made 807 of those. Year before that, 2,313 field goals were attempted. 1,014 went in. Neither one of those is a good number. Well, okay, field goals attempted, sure, but if you're not getting them in, that's not a good look. So, you've got to have the players that can play this type of ball that Kim Caldwell needs. And statistically, it looks like she hasn't quite found them. She's got a few that can do it. Talisha Cooper was doing a decent enough job. Until you look at the fact that 184 made field goals 429 attempts. 61 3 points made on 178 attempts. You've got to look at those numbers and realize that the team was getting worse, even with the same players there. That's not a good thing. So you've got to bring in the right players that are playing at the right style. Kim Caldwell had to change up her style because they didn't have the right players. So this is where the transfer portal comes in. Now, I'm going to say this much. I don't think that Kim Caldwell was taking what was going on in the season that well. I think between the players not listening to her, them going to Gabe Lazo over her. Now, I'm not saying, okay, Gabe Lazo was the primary recruiter for what was going on. I don't think he was trying to undermine Kim Caldwell as much as the players weren't listening to her and they were going to Lazo over her. I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that the players, one, saw a side of Kim Caldwell that probably even she didn't like about herself. Then you have the fact that the players that she had were not doing the type of ball that she wanted to do. You saw, even with players that were trying to get there, her first year there, they made it to the Sweet 16. This past season, they weren't doing what she wanted them to do. You get a first round knockout. In all honesty, even I've argued they should not have gone to the NCAAs. Yes, I understand that, there's tradition there and everything like that, but they didn't deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. I'll argue that all day long. I think that Kim Caldwell has proven that she can coach. She has proven that she can do good things at Tennessee, but she has to have the right people around her. Gabe Lazo, who, as I said, is supposed to be one of the better recruiters out there, and he is. For a regular coach, he is. But Kim Caldwell has her own style of coaching. She has her own, and it's not a gimmicky offense, it's not a gimmicky play style. She has her own that has been proven. She's got a national championship. Okay, it's not Division One, but she's still got a national championship. How many other coaches can say that? She knows what she needs. She wasn't getting it, and that brings frustration. Unfortunately, she didn't know how to handle that frustration being a new mother. Let's add that part in. Beyond everything else, she is a new mother. For a guy being a new father, even when he is 100% there, can still have the ability to detach. Women, on the other hand, that bond between baby and mama and that developing bond is an important thing, and that can strain other parts of your life. That probably helped strain what happened this past season. So, do I want to see Kim Caldwell get better? Yes. Why? Because I honestly believe that she can do better. I think that between her and Kelly Harper, we have had two coaches that have been given stabs in the back from media and from people who aren't paying attention to what's going on. I like Kim Caldwell. You got her there. And anybody that is saying that she doesn't deserve to be there needs to get their head examined. This isn't her necessarily getting stabbed in the back as it was. There was a whole bunch of behind the scenes things going on that probably just led to a situation that just didn't happen as well as anybody would have wanted. Now, Kim Caldwell has a chance to learn from a bad season, which she never has had before. And if she learns those lessons correctly, I can't wait to see what happens in 2026, 2027. But we'll all see. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Hey, folks, before you leave, if you're can't become a member via my YouTube channel, which that's for my thinker. I've also got sports. I've got a Patreon. If you really, really want to help me out, I would be much appreciated. But hey, hitting like, hit subscribe, hit commenting, all those things really help me out. Have a good day.